All right, good evening, everybody. So back here with another video for you all. This one is covering content from May 7th and 8th. So the microbiology and the physiology lectures from Dr. Wagner. So we'll get right into it. We're going to be going a lot of places today. So if you need to take a slow or pause, feel free to do so. But we'll get right into it. So, going to be in first aid microbiology first under clinical bacteriology. And you're going to come down to section 5, Staph aureus. And this is a big, long section with a lot of cards in it, and I can't break it down anymore. So we'll go through it slowly. Make sure your sort field has this little arrow pointing down like mine, so not up, down here, and not in one of these other sections. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go through it slowly. So skipping the first two, you're going to grab 3, 4. You're going to skip the lactational and the IV drug users coming down to enterotoxin. And from there, you're going to grab the next 7 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. You're going to skip that 8th, grab 9 and 10 here. And then you're going to skip 2 more. These 2 here, talking about osteomyelitis and prosthetic joint replacement. There's a lot of repeat kind of concept cards in here, so I was trying to minimize just having like one concept on one card or 1 or 2 cards. That way you didn't have like 200 cards and it's 100 repeats. So skipping these 2, coming down, you're going to grab these next 7 cards here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 until you get down to which valve is most commonly affected. And we're going to skip that one and the 2 following it until you get which bug is the most common cause of skin abscesses. So you want to pick that one up and then the next 3 following it. So you're going to have these 4 down here. Then you're going to leave that 4th highlighted. You're going to scroll down all the way. And you should have that one highlighted at the top of your screen. And then you're going to skip the next 3, grab the next one here, skip 1 more, talking about nafcillin. And then you're going to grab this one talking about MRSA and vancomycin. Skip 2 more, talking about MOA. That's because we've already gotten that one, or that concept. And then you're going to grab these next 2 here, skipping 2 more, coming down to enterotoxins of Staphylococcus aureus are preformed. And grabbing the next one for that, talking about beta hemolytic activity. Then skipping this one, talking about septic arthritis, because we've already gotten one for that. Grabbing the next 2, skipping 1 more, coming down and grabbing this one here that it is bright yellow. And then you want to come down and just kind of read through until you see this, how does MRSA obtain methicillin? So you want to grab that, and then this one here, and that is it for Staph aureus. Then we're going to go to Staph epidermidis and grab all of them. These are all good to have. So some are from previous blocks, but if you don't have any of them, I would recommend picking them all up. So then we're going to go to Staph saprophyticus, and you want to grab the 4th card, then skip 5, 6, grab 7, skip 8, 9, grab 10, 11, 12, and then the last card. And we're going to go to strep pneumoniae, and you want to grab the first 8 cards here. Then you want to skip 9 and 10, but grab 11 and 12, skip 13, 14. Then you want to grab this chunk, the PVC 13 card, coming down to strep pneumonia has the same virulence factors as hemophilia influenzae type B and Neisseria bacteria. And then skip the next 2 after that and grab this last one here, talking about IgA protease. Then we're going to go to Viridans group, Streptococci, Coxy. Oh, can't speak. Skip the first 4, grab 5, 6, 8, and then 10, and the rest. They want to be in strep pyogenes or group A Streptococci. You're going to skip the first 3. You're going to grab these 6 following the first 3. So grab that chunk, and you're going to skip over this type 2 hypersensitivity reaction, grab the one in between, and then skip this type 3 hypersensitivity reaction. Grab 1, 2, and 3 here. Then you're going to skip this erispelis. I don't know how to say that word, but there's plenty of cards here for that, and I activated, I think, 1 or 2 of them. Then you're going to pick up DNA ACE, this card here talking about virulence factors, and then this one talking about necrotizing fasciitis. Skipping 3, come down to the gas M protein card, and then picking up this M protein by kind of reverse question card. Skipping over this one, and this one talking about scarlet fever, You're going to pick up toxic shock-like syndrome and the two following it, which are there. And then you're going to come down and you're going to skip over the Jones criteria. And then there's going to be one more systemic release of Streptococcus pyogenes. You're going to skip that and go to streptokinase virulence factor for what is it? Yeah, what that says. And we're going to scroll down now. We're going to move that highlighted one to the top of our screens. So you're going to grab the two following it, skip one. Yeah, so you don't want this honeycomb-like crust. Then you want to grab the next two following it. Skip these ones talking about PYR positive, and then this highlighted PSGN card. You can skip that. We've already gotten, I think, one or two cards on the glomerulonephritis. And you want to grab these next five here. And then you want to skip a good chunk so you can read down until you get to the staph pyogenes GAS is bacitracin sensitive. And while you have that highlighted, we'll scroll all the way to the bottom. And you can just read down here till you see the group A strep in the left column or the left side of this middle column. And you grab these two cards here. Talking about pharyngitis is the common presentation with cervical lymph node swelling. And then you want to skip this one here because we've already gotten a card for that. But you grab this one here that is beta hemolytic. And you want to skip a bunch and you want to grab the second and the third from the bottom. Then we're going to go to strep agalacti, group B strep. You're going to grab number 3, 5, 6, 7, skip 8, 9, grab number 10, skip 11 and 12, and then you want to grab this chunk of 5 cards here. So talking about gram-positive, catalase negative, bacitracin resistant, causes meningitis, sepsis, and pneumonia. And then skip over these next 4, talking about septic abortion, pregnant mothers here, because we got a card for the pregnant mothers that's coming in down towards the bottom when with the time frame they get that done. You want to pick up, it's encapsulated, it's a group B strep, or group, it's just, yeah, card for the names. And then the second from the bottom is talking about the pregnant mothers being screened for it. And that is it for this section. So now that and then we're going to go to enterococci. You want to grab number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yes. And then you want to skip the next 3 and grab this card here, talking about the colon and urogenital tract as the source of group D. Streptococcus. Wow, it was too much time outside today. I think the sun fried my brain. I grab these 2 cards here talking about what this bacteria can cause. We didn't go over biliary tree infections, so that's why this card is not activated, but grab close 3 and 2. So skipping that one, and then you want to grab this one that is insoluble in bile. Coming down to the bottom now, we'll start from the bottom, going back up to finish last 5 cards. You want the first 3 coming up, skipping the 4th, grab number 5 and 6. And so in bacteria, so far we've covered Staph aureus, Staph epidermidis, Staph saprophytic, that one, Strep pneumoniae, viridins, group A, group B strep, and enterococci. We skipped over 12. And before we go, we're going to the next section, we're going to scroll down to 39, the spirochetes. And there's quite a few good cards in here. So you want to grab the first 7 cards, and then you skip over the next 7, coming down to this card, secondary syphilis is characterized and presents with. So you want these 2 cards here, and you want to grab this big chunk. So all the way down from secondary syphilis presents with down to the VDRL screenings and RPR tests until you get to spirochetes of Tripomona pallidum. You want to skip over those 2 cards and get to the GUMAs cards. And then once you have that, you can scroll down until that highlighted card is at the top of your column. You want to skip this one because we have plenty of cards going over GUMAs. Grab the next 3 here. And then you want to skip over the next 4, coming down to congenital syphilis cards. Skipping over the next 3, talking about the Argyll-Robertson disease. Grabbing this one here, the vector of Lyme disease. And skipping one, grabbing this one here about the stage. So The cards here list the stages as stage 1, 2, and 3. But in our lecture, it was just listed as early and late. So I'm just activating cards on stage 1 and stage 2 because they matched. Stage 1 is early and stage 2 is late infection. Then we're going to skip this card and grab these next two here. So this one, that's migratory myalgias and arthritis and facial nerve palsy. And still coming down, you want to skip the next three, grab this card here. That not so much that it's important to recognize as third degree AV block, but it's like cardiac symptoms. It's the best card I found for that. And you want to skip these next three, talking about which spirochete until you get to which manifestations. Activate that card, and we're going to scroll down some more. Lots of cards here. This is a long section. So, and then you're going to skip over the next 6 cards, coming down to what 2 drugs are commonly used for Lyme disease, grabbing that one and the 2 following it, skipping these 2, talking about penicillin G and benzathine penicillin G. And you want to get to what is the shape? It's a spirochete. What is the shape? It's a spirochete. Both those. Skip over the reservoir, this one, and this one. Then getting to what is that word, etiology of syphilis, and the etiology of Lyme disease. Skipping this one, picking up doxycycline here. And when you have that highlighted, just scroll all the way to the bottom. And then towards the top of your screen, you should see a stage 2 Lyme disease commonly presents. We want to go below that. So secondary syphilis is a systemic disease, no longer localized to the genital region. Pick that card up, and that's where we'll start now. After that card, you want to skip 6, pick up this card, talking about, is it visible? It's not. Is it visible? No. This one is no as well. I just didn't activate it or change it. Because there's just kind of some caveats because you can't see it with gram stain very well, so it's considered you can't view it, but I think there was a silver stain, you could see it. So just that, I picked up these ones just to get the concept through. Skipping those 3 after you've picked up those 2, whereas Lyme disease most common, it's the northeastern United States. Skipping the next 4, just picking up these 2 congenital syphilis cards with the same pictures of the teeth that was shown in the lecture. Once you've gotten that, we've finished the spirochete section. So you can come back up, minimize clinical bacteriology, minimize micro. And then we're going to go to renal. And within renal, we're going to go to pathology and urinary incontinence, 8 under here. So renal, pathology, urinary incontinence, number 8. And we're going to go into anatomy. And in anatomy, you want the first 2, skipping 3, grab 4 and 5. In pharmacology, skip it all. We're going to go to atonic bladder, skip it all. Mixed incontinence, you want to pick that one up. Overflow, you want to grab number 3 and 4. And then skipping 3, coming down and grabbing this polyuria card. Coming down to stress incontinence, you want to pick up 5, skip 6, 7, grab 8, 9, and then number 12, the first line treatment for stress incontinence is pelvic floor. And then urgency incontinence. There's 2 cards here. I believe that is card number 6 and 8. So your urgency incontinence is due to overactive bladder, and then mixed incontinence has features of both stress and urgency incontinence. And that is it. And that's for the micturition lecture on May 10th calendar. Or plan for that day. Yes. So I kind of did a little flip-flopping this week just with what I could get done due to a hectic schedule. And so we're going to minimize this, get out of renal, because that was last block. We're going to go to repro now. And within repro, we're going to start in embryology. And within embryology, we're going to come down to genital embryology. And so here now, you should be able to highlight and activate all of the cards except for these 2, the androgen and sensitivity cards. But everything else should be activated now. And then in sexual differentiation, just make sure I'm not missing anything on my notes. Yeah. I believe the only new 2 cards here are the SRY genes. Those went over in Dr. Wagner's lecture. So pick those up. And that is it for embryology. So we're going to minimize that. And we're going to go into anatomy. and go into the seminiferous tubules. And you should be able to pick up all of these cards now, except for two. This one, which two pathologies are associated with increased temperature of the testes? There's a card that we have activated for varicocele, but we don't need to know cryptorchidism, that word. So we don't need that one. And then the second from the bottom, we don't need this. So we can minimize anatomy. And now we're going to go into physiology under rebirth. And so we're going to start in section 1. And now you can activate the last card here. And then we're going to make one change to this. So it says 1 full cycle of spermatogenesis takes, and I believe your cards will say 65, but I changed it to 74 to match Dr. Wagner's material. Just because I think that's probably the more accurate, and that's the number to know. So 74, not 65. And that is it for this section. And then in estrogen, a good chunk of cards here. So you want to grab this first big chunk coming down from the first one to what is the effect of estrogen on LH estrogen and progesterone receptors. Activate that one. But then you don't have to worry about the following one talking about the lipoproteins and like LDL and HDL. So we can skip these 5 here, coming down to the theca cells and granulosa cells, grab that one and the next 2. Skipping over this card, talking about activin. Wow, activin. Too much time on the side. And then skip this card here, and you want to grab these next 3, talking about the granulosa cells. Skipping the next 3, talking about the theca cells, and then grabbing these 4 in a row, leaving the last 2 inactivated. That is it for this section. Then we're going to go to progesterone. And progesterone, you can activate the whole section if you want, and the ones to not have activated is what is the result of decreased progesterone on fertility? Decreased. You can activate this if you want, but I just kind of intuitively am remembering this. Like if you have low hormones, you're not going to be as fertile and able to, I guess, get pregnant. Females would not be able to get pregnant as easily. And that's just because you can read this little extra Y that explains it. So I just kind of left that as I can intuit my way through that question if it comes up. But pick it up if you want. It's just one more card. And then these 3 here, the ovaries and the theca. In the ovaries, theca cells synthesize. Yes, don't have these activated. And that's because I couldn't find clear support that the theca cells synthesize pregnenolone, and progesterone. So that's why I don't have those activated. If I missed that or if I'm wrong in that, please let me know in the comments. And then oogenesis, you can activate all the cards here. So just click on section 4, activate all the cards. The ones we don't want is the 5th card, the 2nd stage, short of ovarian follicle. Don't need that one. And then this one kind of down in the middle, in the developing ovaries, primordial cells germinate. Yeah. And this is a multi-card question. And I just left the card out that has the closed 3 relating to the days. And I don't even know if those days are actually accurate based upon the lecture we received. So I'm more focused on the oogonia, and the mitotic divisions pieces. And then we're going to go into ovulation. And you want to grab all of them except the first one here. And then menstrual cycle, we're going to go into these subsections. And in the menstrual cycle, you want to grab the first one, but skip 2 and 3. And then from the rest, you can activate all of them. And the ones you don't want are this one. The ovarian follicle growth is fastest during the 2nd week. In the follicular phase, what hormone stimulates development of multiple follicles? And then estradiol levels decrease just after ovulation, but increase again during the luteal phase. I think it's kind of like it's just a weird card. And then the 3rd from the bottom, you don't want that one. Skipping fertility testing, and then puberty, just the first 4. And then that is going to bring us to the end of this video. So kind of a long one, not too many cards, but hope you find it helpful. And as always, happy studying.